Thank you, Chairperson, judges, audience, and opponent. My name is Shiga. I'm a constructive speaker from the affirmative side. I'm very glad to be here, but I'm very nervous, but I will do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, audience, and opponents. My name is Tina. I'm a attack speaker from affirmative side. I do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, and opponents, and audience. My name is Yukina. I'm defense speaker from the affirmative side. I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, and opponents. My name is Kotaro. I'm a summer speaker from the affirmative side. I will do my best. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have brief introduction from the negative side members.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, and audience. My name is Sakura Bano. I'm a constructive speaker on the negative side. I cannot believe to be here, but I want to enjoy this round with my friends and opponents and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, honorable judges, audience, of course, my opponent. My name is Inko Yamamoto. I'm a attack speaker from the negative side. I want to say the people who always supported us, and I do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, honorable judges, and all of the audience. And my name is Erica. I'm a defense speaker from the negative side. I'm so glad to be here. So I want to enjoy this round with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, judges, of course, Utsunomiya Higashi High School. My name is Moriyama. I'm a Saitama speaker from the negative side. I'm also very glad to be here, and this game must be my precious experience. Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Shiga. We believe that Japan should significantly less immigration policy. Our plan has 4 points. First, migrants pay the same tax and get the same social security as Japanese citizens. Second, migrants can get support with language and finding jobs. Third, school will prepare language and cultural lessons to integrate immigrant children into society, as well as training teachers to support them. Fourth, migrants' health check and background check will continue. 81. To improve economy. Present situation. According to Cabinet Office, Japan's economic growth rate will be negative in 2030 because of a declining consumption caused by decreasing population. As a result, according to Tochigi University and Nihon newspaper, unemployment will increase, wage will decrease, and our life will be harsher. For example, according to the page, even now, 1 in 6 children are suffering from poverty because of their family's low income, and many have to give up higher education. To solve this problem, according to Mitsubishi, each household has to consume more to improve economy. However, according to Daiwa, household cannot spend money because of shrinking economy. Effects. After plan, 10 million migrants will come to Japan with working visas by 2067. They will work and buy daily necessities, cars and houses, which will contribute to the economy because, according to Cabinet Office, economy and consumption are strongly related. Also, according to Japan Association of Corporate Executives, 60% of GDP is from personal consumption. According to the effect of immigration in Japan, immigrants will increase GDP by 8.7%, improving citizens' lives. Then, according to Ginger, unemployment rate will decrease to under 2% and wage will increase by 6%. Impact. Good economy is essential to secure citizens' stable lives. However, if the situation continues, declining economy will increase unemployment, reduce wage, and make overall situation worse. In addition, more people will commit suicide because, according to NDT, the economy and suicide are strongly connected. The government has introduced some plan to make the economy better. However, we cannot feel any benefit. Raising consumption by immigrants is only way to secure stable lives. 82. Saving truck drivers from overtime work. Present situation. A good work-life balance is an important life for all citizens. However, according to Statistics Japan, long-distance drivers' average yearly overtime is 290 hours, which is the highest among all industries because of labor shortage. According to the Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, more than 60% of transportation companies are suffering from labor shortage, and drivers are forced to work. As a result, according to Utsu.com, Ministry of Land and HEnDA12, 60% of 500,000 drivers are suffering from stress and diseases. Moreover, it is causing serious accidents. According to Health Press, 30% of drivers have slept while driving. It is serious because, according to Japan Trucking Association, half of death accidents were caused by in 2016. Effect: the labor shortage will be solved by two steps. First, according to MHEW, 4% of foreigners are working in the transportation industry now. Second, according to Innovego in 2030, we will lack 86,000 drivers. But if 200,000 immigrants come every year, by 2030, 4% or more than 86,000 people will become drivers, and they will easily cover the shortage. Then, driver will be relieved from overtime, stress and diseases. On top of that, the probability of fatal accidents will decrease. Impact. According to Brazil Weekly in 2015, about 100 workers suffer from diseases caused by overtime work. In 2017, 60 people were injured because drivers feel sick. If the situation continues, more drivers and innocent people will be killed, and their family will also suffer mentally and financially. This plan is necessary to secure citizen lives and improve our society's dangerous work-life balance. So we have taken this plan. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me ask some questions. My name is Moriyama. First, about your AD1, you said in presentation unemployment rate is rising up now.
No, yes, if this continues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
In the future, see?
In the future,
Okay, thank you. May I go to the next question about your AD1? So, in total, how much GDP will go down?
Because thanks to the immigrant GDP will increase 8.7%.
The now?
No, after the plan. After
For 50 years?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. So, what is the relation between the rising of GDP and the wage will going up?
So there is a strongly connected according to Ginger and MHW there is a higher connection if the GDP will increase our citizens citizen wage is increased too.
Okay, thank you. May I go to the next question about your also edit? So
Yeah.
what are you mainly talking about? The overworking problem or accident?
We talk about overworking. We have to solve the overworking to save the trucking drivers and also the innocent citizen lives. Because in the current situation, because of cat naps, many citizens will kill.
Okay, thank you. So why can you say the immigrants will surely take those kinds of jobs?
We will show that first, according to MHW, 4% of foreigners are
Sorry,
working.
about the evidence, is it presentation?
Yes, but
So why
there
can
is
you
a
say these
tendency.
things will
There is a
happen?
tendency that to take
Okay, thank you.
companies. Yeah.
So how many is your target number?
So what do you mean?
How many is your target number?
Or number, but we talk about to
How
solve.
much shortage is existing?
Okay, 86,000 drivers. And we introduced 200,000.
Are you mainly talking about the driver?
Yeah, then we talk about truck drivers from over time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Question time has ended.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will start my constructive speech. My name is Sakura Banno. DM1, the pension system will fall into decline. Presentation. People may think Japanese pension system will not work because of decreasing working population, but it is not exactly correct. According to the financial check about future pension system in 2014, the Welfare and Labour Ministry simulated many scenarios of future economic situations. However, media announced only the worst and least possible economic scenario. In Nikkei South, Shunsuke Yamasaki, an economist, says, quote, the ministry announced that this financial check had made it clear that the Japanese pension system will be able to work well financially and sustain itself in the future, using the macroeconomic strategy system and the special stock budget. Japan is likely to be able to maintain the ideal payment percentage or improve its financial situation, unquote. Effect. 1. 10 million immigrants will come. 2. In 50 years, they will get old and need pension money adding to Japanese elderly people. 3. We have more and more elderly immigrants year by year. population to support the larger elderly population. Problems will happen here. There is no guarantee 200,000 immigrants will come to Japan every year after the first 50 years. According to Masashi Kawai, National Institute of Population and Social Security Research, there is a high possibility of immigrants not coming anymore because of the same aging problem in 50 years as Japan has now. According to Swiss Info Channel, in Switzerland, immigrants support its pension system, but in 30 to 40 years, they will be the recipients. Nobody can pay for them at the time. So it is a very bad idea to introduce this situation without thinking about what is waiting for us. Importance. The pension system is Japan's safety net for all Japanese people. The macroeconomic strike and the special stock budget will not work anymore on such a large shortage, so the Japanese pension system will fall into decline. According to the Welfare and Labour Ministry, 70% of the elderly people's income is from the pension money. They cannot live without the pension money. They will not be able to eat, wear clothes, go to the hospital, and use water, electricity, or gas. We should not make them live such a miserable lifestyle at the end of their lives. Next year too, Japanese workers will lose their jobs. Presentation. The 2016 labor poll made by the Statistics Bureau showed that the unemployment rate in Japan has been going down for more than 6 years. According to the OECD, Japan's unemployment rate is just 3.1%, so it's in 34th place among the 35 OECD countries. Effect. According to the Japan Institute for Labor Policy Code, immigrants in Japan work under worse conditions than Japanese workers. For example, they work for lower wages or longer hours, according. If Japan takes this plan, the following will happen. 1. 10 million immigrants will work for lower wages or longer hours than Japanese workers everywhere in Japan. 2. Owners of Japanese companies will notice they can save money if they employ immigrants. 3. They will start to employ immigrants instead of Japanese workers when their working contracts are over. According to Reuters Enterprise Research 2015, 76% of Japanese companies answered that they agreed to employ immigrants as unskilled workers to make up for shortages in the labor forces. Many Japanese workers will replace immigrant workers. According to the Migration Advisory Committee, in the UK, 160,000 domestic workers have already been replaced by immigrant workers. Importance. When people lose their jobs, they lose both income and hope in life. A research paper titled Causes of Suicide and Economic and Social Influences by Kyoto University, specially requested by the Cabinet Office. This paper points out a deep relationship between losing job and suicide. Look at this graph. Blue line is unemployment rate and red line is suicide rate. As you can see, Dr. Tochigi, an educational sociologist, says a 1% increase in unemployment rate causes more than 2,000 suicides. Actually, in France, the unemployment rate went up from 3% to 8.5% after the immigration policy change. With the introduction of this resolution, Japan will lose many lives unnecessarily. I will repeat our level. Year 1, the pension system will fall into decline. Year 2, Japanese workers will lose their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker. We will now have a 1-minute preparation time.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Kotaro. So let me ask you some questions. So firstly, you mean that if current situation keeps, Japanese pension system will not come?
Yes.
Okay. And so after the plan, did you say that immigrants will not come?
Yes.
Why?
Because first, the HEnDA's definition, there is no guarantee that the new immigrant come to Japan after the first 50 years, and also that according to the Masashi Kawai, that there is no possibility to immigrants come to Japan because of the aging problem for other countries.
Okay, thank you. And then, did you consider the immigrant children?
Yes, according to the Yamauchi from 国立社会保障人口問題研究所, he said the immigrants' birth rate is lower than the Japanese.
Okay.
Yes, so we cannot expect a huge immigrant children.
Okay, thank you. So let me move on to next question. So on your second argument. So why will not a Japanese company hire the immigrants and Japanese people?
Because the immigrants' wage and the immigrants' working condition is lower than the Japanese workers. Companies that
even though it is a fact, it is true, company can hire both immigrants and Japanese people, right?
No.
Why?
Because the companies will want the cheaper labor, so the immigrants is the immigrants'
Did
wage.
you consider labor shortage in the current situation?
The labor shortage is not correct our idea too.
Why?
We want to say that the
Because
replace will happen.
replace will happen.
Yes.
And so, but a company can hire both immigrants and children, immigrants and the Japanese people, right?
No, because the companies want a cheaper labor. So when immigrants come to Japan,
Yeah, even though immigrants are cheaper, but company can, right?
no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question time has ended.
Thank you, Chairperson. I start my attack speech. My name is Nico. First, go to their 80 round presentation and effect. They said now Japanese economy is shrinking because of decreasing working population, and after the plan, Japanese economy will be better. However, it is not true. It is lack of uniqueness. Because according to Toyo Keizai Online, Japanese economy is getting better for 20 rounds, 20 rounds. So their argument is lack of uniqueness. So therefore, we don't have to take this plan. And they also said after the plan, wage will go up. However, it is not true. The same evidence is saying that the wage is not going up, even though Japanese economy is getting better and even now. So it means there is no connection between Japanese economy will go up and wage will go up. So what they say was not important, and there is a lack of uniqueness. Next, go to their everyone's effect importance. They said after this plan, Japanese economy will go up. However, it is not important because according to Tochigi, the professor of Keio University, until 11.2 million of immigrants come to Japan, Japan has to continue to get the negative effect on Japanese economy. However, as we said, we are not sure that there is no guarantee, and the first 50 years, the immigrants come or not is unclear. So what they say was not important. Next, go to their effect importance. They said unemployment rate is rising now, but as we said in constructive speech, according to some show, the unemployment rate is decreasing for 6 years, but they don't have evidence, and we don't check it. So we cannot check on their evidence. So their evidence is unreliable than ours. So what they say was not true. Next, go to their 82. They said after this plan, immigrants take driver job. However, it is not important and not true because according to because it is not easy for immigrants to work as a driver job. According to Imin Broken from Ms. Takaki quote, it is unrealistic for immigrants to drive because it is difficult for immigrants to drive on Japanese road fueling Japanese traffic sign. So it is difficult for immigrants to drive Japanese road. So what is not important? Let's go to their ABC's effect importance. They said after this plan, immigrants will become truck driver because there is a tendency 4% of immigrants take the kinds of job now. But situation is different. Present situation after this plan. So and they didn't explain why same things happen right now after the plan. So what they say was not important, and they have to explain why same things happen after the plan. So what they say was important. Next, go to their edit presentation. They say truck driver is shortage, but it is not true because according to Toyo Keizai Online, a transport company tried to solve labor force shortage problem by raising workers' wages, and actually the number of drivers is increasing now on Japanese workers. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Ikina. I will ask some questions. So you first at that point, so to our 81. So you said that our point is not unique because now the economy is getting better, right?
Yes, for 21 straight years now.
Okay. So you're sad at that point toward 81. So you said that because of immigrants, Japan will get negative effects. So why?
Because the acceptance stores is much bigger than the benefit.
So what do you mean by this point?
So because of the huge amount of acceptance cost of immigrants, the Japanese economy faces the negative.
So what is the connection between the cost and the economy we are talking?
Sorry?
Okay, thank you. So your first attack point. So what do you mean by this point?
On their 82.
81.
81. So they said now the unemployment rate is rising now, but as our constructive speech
Okay.
said unemployment now.
Okay, thank you. So move to 82.
Yes.
So your Sarada, you have 3 data point to our 82, right?
Yes.
Okay, and your Sarada point is about so the companies are trying to increasing wages, so the labor shortage will be so our point is not incorrect.
Yes.
Okay.
Your 82 is lack of uniqueness.
So okay, your first data point to our 82. So you said so you mean that there's no foreign people who can drive.
We want to say that it is difficult for immigrants to drive on Japanese road, fueling the Japanese traffic sign. So they confuse.
Okay, thank you. So okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Gina. So I have 4 data points for year 1. So first, they talk about the long-term harm, but if this situation continues, the social security and pension burden will increase because by 2030, one worker have to support one elderly. So to solve this problem, we have to more immigrants. In fact, if we introduce the immigrants, we can solve this problem because according to Japan Research Institute, the government has cost for one immigrant is at 44,000 yen. On the other hand, the benefit from them is about 190,000 yen. So the benefit from immigrants exceed the cost for them. So the burden won't increase, and so by accepting immigrants, we can solve this situation. So to solve this situation, we have to take this plan. And second, even now with immigrants and many foreign workers come to Japan without the immigration policy. So even after taking this plan, the more and other foreign workers come to Japan to work and to get money. So first of all, the effect it doesn't stand. And second, third, according to Social Tochigi, even now 56% immigrants come to Japan with their families, and also by coming to Japan, living in Japan, they will give the birth in Japan because they will live in Japan. So the burden will not increase because after living in Japan, their children have paid the tax and so on. So burden will not increase. And so I'll move to DA2. So I have 3 data points. The first of all, they didn't say that why the immigrants would replace and Japanese job. It is very unclear. And also they say that they didn't answer they didn't consider the labor shortage because according to 労働市場の未来推計, we will lack 5.8 million workers and labor shortage will be serious in many industries. So a new labor force is needed. And also, according to Hayes, 73% of companies are considering hiring foreign workers. So they will keep Japanese workers and hire immigrants at the same time. So their effect is understand. And second, to the effect that they say that immigrant case, but this data say that after the conclusion that immigrant doesn't affect the employment, so they said the data doesn't stand. And second, they say that about 77% agree to accept immigrants, but this data say also that if the Japan cannot solve labor shortage, so it means that this data agree with the accepting immigrants, so we should strongly believe that DA2 doesn't stand. So therefore DA1 and DA2 it doesn't stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I asked my question. My name is Rada. In phase US third attack to DA1, how many immigrant children will be born at this plan? How many?
I don't have a clear number, but
Okay, thank you. You don't know the number. And next year, first attack, could you repeat your labor shortage number?
labor shortage is happening that 5.83 million workers and labor shortage will be serious in many industries.
Okay, thank you. Could you show me evidence later? And yeah. Next, go to your second attack. You want to say immigrants will will not affect that unemployment, right? Yes, because your data say that after all, the immigrants don't affect the employment regardless of the economy part for good. So after all, there is no relationship between the unemployment rate and immigrants. Your data says so. So your data misunderstanding.
Okay, thank you. And go to your first attack. You want to say immigrants will contribute to Japanese society, so pension system will not fall into decline, right?
Yes, because if this situation continues, the Japanese burden will increase. But by accepting immigrants, we can get more.
Why can you say
145,000?
Why can you say this benefit is enough to support pension system? You talked about only past 50 years, right?
Yes, but even if the
you didn't consider after the past 50 years, right?
But as I said, even after the Japan, the foreign workers continue to come to Japan because even now the foreign workers come to Japan without.
Why immigrants continue come to Japan?
Because to get money and to find a job.
How many immigrants will come to Japan after the past 50 years? How many? Question time has ended.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Ikina. In the first place, they're over 81, so they cannot attack that the immigrants will surely consume in Japan and the economy will surely get better. And also 82, they cannot attack that labor shortage will be surely solved and their working environment will surely better. So please take this point and let me defend our points. First, at that point, they say that now economy is getting better, so our plan is not necessary, but it's not true because in the future, according to Fujitsu, the economy will surely decline because of declining consumption caused by decreasing population. So we must solve this problem by taking this proposal. Second, at that point, it attacks between wages and economy. However, it's not true because according to Cabinet Office, there is a relationship between the GDP and wages because since immigrants consume, companies can get profit and then it's a profit will be returned to the workers. So we can say the wages will surely go up. And third, at that point, so they talked about the negative effect of immigrants. However, in the first place, our argument is about the improving economy by consumption. Since there's no connection between economy and the burden from immigrants, the attack is irrelevant. First at that point, they say that's about the unemployment rate, but yes, so now the unemployment is getting decreased. However, in the future, it is clear that the unemployment will surely increase because companies cannot get profit in enough consumption and they will try to cut more costs and they will hire them. So we must prevent the situation. So our argument is clearly stand. Move to our 82. So first at that point, they say that's our license problem. However, it is not problem because so if immigrants have driver's license in the host countries, they can get it without the written test. In addition, immigrants who don't have a license can get them because according to economy, so for example, in Canada, it's starting to support getting driver's license. For example, the textbook is written in foreign language and so on, so it is no problem. And actually, in Nagoya, there are some foreign workers who are working as a driver, so we must increase the number of drivers. And second, at that point, they talking about the proof. However, so after taking this proposal, the government will working with for the simple labor, and the transportation industry is also the simple labor. So we can say that the number of truck drivers will surely increase, and the working environment will be surely solved. And third, at that point, so they say that the transportation companies has making effort. However, 60% of companies suffering from labor shortage. Even the companies are trying to raise their wages, and workers are forced to overtime. So we need immigrants to solve this problem. So our argument is clearly stand. So they cannot attack the consumption. So the wages will surely increase, or unemployment will surely decrease, and our lives will be surely better. So we must take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I start my defense speech. My name is Ryan. In fight to go to the fight attack to everyone, they say immigrants will work so they will support pension system, but it is not true because they misunderstand pension system. Even if immigrants will contribute to present pension system, those benefits will use present elderly people. So we can't save future pension. And please check this point. We focus on after the first 50 years. And so we want to say after the first 50 years, they are little younger to support many elderly people, including immigrants. So our ADA1 is so serious. And next go to the second attack. And they said, immigrant after the first 50 years, immigrants continue to coming to Japan, but they didn't prove that why immigrants continue to come to Japan and how many immigrants continue to come to Japan. But we have evidence. According to, as our constructive speaker said, according to Gekkan Senon said, in a lot of foreign countries, the aging population problem is being so serious. In the future, other countries will also face serious problem, so immigrants will not come to Japan. And next go to the third attack, and they said immigrants will have a baby and immigrants' family will come to Japan, but they didn't prove that how many immigrant children will be born and how many immigrant children will come to Japan. And so the attack is very unclear, and it means we can expect. And so we must not rely things that it is unclear whether it is useful or not. And also, according to Masakazu Yamauchi from Kokuritsu Sakai Hosho Jinkou Mondai Kenshito said, immigrant person is lower than Japanese, and because they come to Japan to work, and so immigrants will not contribute by birth rate. And next go to the first attack. And they say replacement will not happen because of labor shortage problem is so serious in Japan, but it is not important because we want to say replacement will happen because of immigrant salary is lower than Japanese. So whether labor shortage is big or not is not so important. And also, in the future, Japanese work will decrease, but demand will also decrease, so labor shortage problem will not so serious. And also according to Watanabe Hiroyuki from Labor Policy Institute said, in Japan, skilled worker and immigrants are substitute relation. So in Japan, replace will surely happen. And next go to the second attack. They say it is immigrants will not affect unemployment, but it is not true. It is a fact that in the UK, 160,000 workers will be replaced by immigrants. So this it is a fact. So replace will surely happen, and immigrants will affect that and Japanese working employment. So the attack is not important. And next go to the third attack. And they said our evidence is 76% is cancer and to solve labor shortage problem, but they didn't prove that why those benefits is enough. Why? And please stop. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have a 2-minute preparation time.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Kotaro. So let me summarize the debate. So firstly, let me talk about our DA2, their DA2 and our 81 with impact. So their DA2, there is too little impact because in the first place, Japanese people will never be replaced because there says that 76% of the company are willing to hire immigrants if there is a labor shortage. That means if there is a labor shortage, a company will hire the immigrants and Japanese people related. That's pretty explained. And moreover, as we told you that there is a data said that immigrants will not affect unemployment, and they didn't mention that point. So their DA2 have too little impact. However, as we told you, we can get a huge benefit because all people living in Japan get a benefit by improving the economy. And as we told you that GDP will go up by 8.7%, and unemployment rate will be under 2%, and wage will increase by 6%. And no one can deny the fact that immigrants will consume. And so our 81 is very standing and have huge impact. And so our 81 overweighs their DA2. And so next, let me talk about their DA1 and our 82 with possibility. In the first place, their argument is based on the assumption that during, as both said consensus, during 50 years, immigrants will support the Japanese people with pensions. And so we must not forget this benefit, previous point. And so they say after 50 years, the number of immigrants who will come to Japan will be zero. However, because they say that it is because other countries will have a labor shortage. However, in the current situation, Japan have also labor shortage. However, Japanese people are going to abroad, ladies and gentlemen, because Japanese government cannot force them to stay in their own country, ladies and gentlemen. And so their assumption is not standing, so their DA is not standing. And on the contrary, as we told you in 82, immigrants will work as truck drivers. Because they claim that it is difficult for the immigrants to drive in Japan. However, even the ordinary foreign people are driving cars in Japan in the country, right? And so there is no difficulty. And moreover, even though there is they say that because after the plan, 4% of immigrants will not come to Japan as drivers. However, even under the current situation, even though we are not accepting simple labor, 4% of immigrants are working as drivers. And so that means more than 4% of immigrants will work if we accept simple labor, because truck drivers are simple labor. So with 100%, this argument will stand. So our arguments are overweight. So we have to respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start my summary speech. My name is Utsunomiya. First, I will compare the AD1 and DA1 from the viewpoint of uniqueness and possibility and impact. First, I will talk about the uniqueness and possibility. The AD1, it is a lack of uniqueness because, as our tax speaker said, there is no implemented situation, there is no relation between improving the economy and workers' wages will going up. The defense speaker didn't defend about the most important point like this, so they admit on this point their argument is lack of uniqueness. And also about your DA1 has a very high possibility because immigrants second generation will not in place because we cannot accept immigrants expect increasing birth rate. Immigrants' birth rate is lower than Japanese, as we said, so we cannot support the pension system after the first 50 years. They admit they didn't think about after the first 50 years. And also, as we said, it is no possibility that after the first 50 years, immigrants come to Japan because as a country will face a labor shortage problem like Japan. So our DMI sure stand possibility is very high. And also about the impact. As we said in victory, we are considering about the first 50 years, but their AD1 only consider about the whole 50 years, like their GDP, increasing GDP by 8.73%. It is in the first 50 years, but it is not. It is just temporary problem. We don't admit, but if their AD1 happen, it is just a immediate temporary benefit. We don't must take this plan. Let's go to AD2 and DA2 for the viewpoint possibility. About AD2, possibility is very low because as our tax speaker says that it is very difficult for immigrants to take the truck drivers working place because immigrants it is difficult to read the sign of the road in Japan. So the possibility is very low, and also they didn't clearly mention, but 40% of immigrants will surely work after the plan. 4% of the immigrants, sorry. So they didn't mention any evidences about it, so the possibility is very low. On the other hand, please look at your DX. It is in the fact that in UK 160,000 workers were replaced by immigrants. It is a fact, and as our defense speaker said, it is a high possibility to replace will surely happen. The possibility of replace will surely happen. And also, I will compare the AD1 and DA2 from the viewpoint of the possibility. The consensus is that there is a deep relation between losing job and committing suicide, and the flashpoint is whether unemployment rate is rising or decreasing now. But first, in the constructive speaker said unemployment rate is increasing now, but the different speaker said about the unemployment rate is decreasing now. So they have contradicted on this point. Thank you.
Thank you, debaters. The debate is now over. You all did a great job.
of all, good afternoon, everyone. And the first thing I want to do, of course, smile. My smile is a little scary, so but the first thing I want to do is to thank first both teams, the affirmative and the negative team, and to thank all of you for coming here to watch this semifinal debate. As a general comment, since there are so many people watching, I want to say, as a general comment, I think this debate was a debate that's a good debate to watch. I think technically the debate was very proficient, which is to say they're doing a lot of good sort of point-by-point arguments. And I think it was a very close debate. I think sort of as judges, we were all looking for what I call the parachute, that is the safe way to land. We're looking for a mistake here or there. And I didn't see a lot of technical mistakes. I think there may have been some explanations that could have been better. And I think there are some things where the importance or the connection between arguments should be explained better. So in general, what I want to say to you about debate is that the end of debate is not to win one point or another point. The end of debate, and introductory speakers, they quoted Voltaire saying, it's not about proving you're right, it's about finding what's right. And so the idea is not just in isolation one thing or another thing, it's what new world is created. When we accept the affirmative plan, what happens? Is it good or is it bad? All together. What I want to encourage both teams to do, and these are both very fine teams, so what I want to encourage them to do in the next step is to think more about, you can't see this, but not about this point or this point, but about everything. I think a technically good debate, but what I want to say to you, I'm trying to be very quick. We have 15 minutes. So. Apparently, Professor Moriyama knows my tendencies, as he told me very briefly to make comments. What I want to say to you is that it is not enough to win a point. Right? You have to think about the idea of the world. We call this policy debate. We're making a change. We're changing policy, and a new world comes. So what is that new world? And then think about that at the end of the debate. So let me explain by talking about some of the issues. Well, actually, I guess I should reveal the vote first. I'm sorry. Everyone's waiting. This was a very close debate. The decision was a 3-2 decision, so as close as you can get. And the decision was for the affirmative. Very briefly, to give you an idea of what I mean. So I want to tell you a story. And I think all debates, all communication is a story, but I think all debates are a story. And part of the story of this debate round is what will cause unemployment. Right? So we have advantage 1 and disadvantage 2 that have essentially the same importance, the same impact. That is, there will be unemployment leads to suicide. So the result is not the question. The question is sort of michianai, right? How am I going to go from here to there? So I have a story. The affirmative story is that the current Japanese economy is in trouble. As we consume less and less, the economy gets smaller. As the economy gets smaller, we have less need for jobs. This leads to more unemployment. Result. The negative team has a similar story. The negative team story is that the Japanese economy is okay today. But if we bring in immigrants, if we bring in a lot of immigrants, what's going to happen is that those people are going to replace Japanese workers, which will lead to unemployment, which will cause suicide, and so that the impact is. So this debate is not about those two things. Right? The really important point in this debate, to me as a judge then, is the question of need. If there's a need for workers, the affirmative story is more likely. If there is no need or little need for workers, then the negative story is more likely. So most of this debate should happen about that point, because that's the key difference in their stories. Right, so what I just praised both teams, so I want to criticize both teams. Most of the debate should be about that point, right? Especially advantage one and disadvantage two. Obviously, I think most of the judges, the majority of the judges, 3 out of the judges, decided that there was more need than there was, or there was more need, so that it was more likely that advantage 1 would happen than disadvantage 2 would happen. Right? But it's your job as debaters, to make that clear for us, so that we don't have to decide. Right? But the debate, the argument is a story. It's not what Goto said in 2013. It's not those things. It's a question of how do I get from A to B to C? And that's the new world. What kind of world is it? So what I want to encourage each of you, and especially because your talent level is very high, what I want to encourage the 2 teams up here especially is to think about that story. What I was just saying to another judge this morning. I want you to slow down. I don't mean talk slower. I mean slow down, not so much this, but all of it together. Right? Be like the movie just came out, so be a Jedi. See the living force between argument 1 and argument 2. And understand how they connect all of us. And that's the power of debate. This is how you can use debate to understand other people from other cultures and other places and other towns in Japan. Because how we connect A to B to C, that's how we think, that's how we live, that's how we communicate. And that is the power of debate. So, close debate, good debate. I was very happy. I would have liked them this much more happy. But you're always telling us a story. And I like both of your stories, but just a little bit more for you. Thank you very much.